And you are live.
Good evening. Quorum being present, this meeting of the Annapolis Historic Preservation Commission for January 11th, 2022 shall come to order. The commission operates pursuant to the land use article of the annotated code of the state of Maryland. Local authority for the commission is derived from municipal code of the city of Annapolis, chapter 21, section 56. The purpose of the HPC is to preserve sites, structures, and districts of historical, cultural, archaeological, and architectural significance. Requirements for serving on the commission are detailed in Chapter 21, Section 8.06. The HPC operates pursuant to the State of Maryland Open Meetings Act, and therefore no pending application shall be discussed between or amongst commissioners outside the public hearing. Okay. Next on the agenda is the roll call. We have Bobby Collins, Vice Chair.
Here.
Kim Finch.
Here.
Leslie Xavier.
Here.
Kevin Smith.
Here.
Will Scott.
Here.
Bill William.
Here.
Also with us this evening are staff John Tower. Jackie Rouse from Office of Planning and Zoning, and from the Office of Law, Joelle Braithwaite and Ms. Cheryl Wood. Our recorder is Kimberly Kinsoli. Okay. Next on the agenda is announcements. John, any announcements?
Well, let's see.
Or other commissioners?
Continue to make progress at Maynard Burgess. For anyone who is interested, I'd love to take you over and show you the plaster preservation, stabilization, consolidation. It's a magnificent jigsaw puzzle, and it is all in place now, at least everything that could be saved. Also, we received, and I think I mentioned this before, but not 100% sure, we received a paint analysis report on the Maynard Burgess house, which to me is fascinating and really shows how especially the Maynard family had an attention to, let's say, their public image. They definitely wanted to keep up appearances. The number of colors, the variety of colors used, the frequency of painting, it's really just extraordinary. So I could send that out for anyone who's interested. It's a long report, but the pictures are great and explain quite a bit.
I'd definitely be interested.
Yeah, I would too.
I'll send it out to everyone.
Yeah, this
Thank
project,
you.
this is very important. Yeah, it's been going on for many years, and it's a very significant site in our city, in our community. I think their application was approved 5 or 6 years ago. The city application, the design has already been approved, so it's not a new hearing. It won't be a new hearing.
Well, then I'll just go a little bit further. Bids were received today.
Great.
Right,
Wow.
for the
Super.
first floor adaptive use.
That's excellent.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Next on the agenda is approval of minutes. I think we have December 14th on the agenda for approval. Do I hear a motion? Any comments or changes for the minutes for December 14th?
I move that we accept the minutes for December 14th, 2021.
A second.
All right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? Okay. Clicking back and forth here. Next on the agenda is violations. John or any other commissioners, any violations to report or status of open issues?
Well, 2 violations on Pinckney Street, front porches, as if they wouldn't be noticed. Just always mystified. And then I saw a few more smaller things in my travels on Dean Street. Nothing major, nothing egregious to important historic material.
What did the Pinckney Street houses do that was in violation?
Well, they removed their front porches and replaced them. And one of them
Any
is
signs?
a brand new design.
Okay.
So will these be after the fact applications or?
Well, one of the applicants I'd worked with and really had hopes that a relationship would be developed where they understood the process and that a simple replacement in kind still requires a certificate of approval.
Yes, it can be administrative.
And that was lost. And their certificate of approval that they were doing other projects under has expired. And I haven't received any after photos. So they will not be giving me a revision. They will be giving me a new application. I hope that doesn't sound too stern.
No.
The rules apply equally to everyone. All right. All right, that's it, I guess, for violations. There's nothing on the consent docket, and we don't have any old business. In new business, again, clicking back and forth here. First on the agenda a new business is 17 Southgate Avenue. So Madeline, if you would promote representatives from.
Yep, absolutely. I just sent the invite.
Okay, super. And then I will swear them in.
Tim, before you do that, may I ask you a brief question?
Of course.
In your pre-remarks, you said that you had some questions about exactly what the panels look like on the front of the house. So are we going to go through a full review, or are you just going to swear them in and ask for clarification?
I think I can present that we're more or less cutting to the chase. We have we have just a few questions.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep.
So hello,
Hi.
Amy and Dan. Hello, Dan.
Hi.
Dan and I met in December in another community event. So hello again.
We were at the food bank in Anne Arundel County filling boxes.
We sorted boxes for hours.
It was very exciting. Although, Tim, I will confess, I would not recognize you since you were wearing a mask. And
exactly.
And I think we only exposed our faces when we went out onto the dock for 2 seconds when we left.
Exactly. It's so funny. That's what I love about our town. So welcome. The first thing we do need to swear you in. The commission is authorized to require an oath to testify, and so I just need to ask you: do you affirm, under the penalties of perjury, that the testimony given and the statements you shall make are true to the best of your information, knowledge, and belief? If so, please respond. I do.
I do.
I do.
There you go. We're married now. So I'm not sure you've ever been through an application before, but we have the application in front of us. And what we do is I'll ask a few questions from the commissioners, and then you'll give us a brief presentation. Staff will briefly present their report. We ask if there's any public testimony, which in a normal case, there might be people in the room, but now we actually take that online. Then we have a brief discussion, and then we have a motion and a vote. In this particular case, the application is fairly straightforward, and the staff has already provided a positive review, but we did have some questions for you, very minor questions. But so First up, who visited this? Which of the commissioners has visited the site? So please raise your hand. So for Kimberly's, I see myself, Bobby, Kevin. Of course, John has.
Yeah.
Don't count John. Kim Finch, did you drive by?
No, I didn't.
Okay, all right. So Kimberly, you have that? It'll be
Just,
Okay.
just Ms. Collins, Mr. Smith, and yourself?
That's correct.
Okay.
Okay. And we have to accept the two exhibits into the record that Kimberly will put in the minutes, which are the application itself, which I think has got a date of November 15th, I think, and the staff report dated 11 January. So at this time, we've seen your application. We got the details. John has presented his report, which has been positive, and you might have seen the guidelines he presented.
Yeah.
Is there anything you'd additionally like to add?
From us? No?
Yeah. Okay. John, any further comments from your staff report?
Well, I'd just like to point out that this house, this shingle style house, is remarkably intact. It's well taken care of, and I believe that the intentions of the owner are to continue that, and also that what they're doing here, what they're proposing to do, is reversible. I spent quite a bit of time trying to see the roof on the front of the house that they're proposing panels for, and I could not from any angle. And that was, it was a concerted effort. So that made it easy to give an affirmative. The other thing about this, for those who haven't been there, and I put this in the staff report, is there's a retaining wall at the lot line, which meets the sidewalk. And then from that retaining wall, which is 3 feet high, the lot slopes up to the house.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how many feet are gained there, but then the house has a very tall exposed foundation. And I believe there are 8 steps that lead up to the porch floor. And then the first floor ceiling, I believe, is at least 9 feet. And the second story, I believe, is just 8 or 8.5. But by the time you get to the roof, you're talking about somewhere in the neighborhood of almost 30 feet.
Yeah.
From street level. And
Right.
that is why it's very hard to see.
All right, thanks. Next in our procedure is to take any public testimony. Right now, we're doing that via online form. People can actually sign up to publicly join us, but there was no public testimony on this particular application. So I will close public testimony. So then deliberations, questions from commissioners. What would you like to ask?
I had questions before, but the combination of another trip to the property this afternoon and then John's assurance that you really can't see that roof in the front where they're proposing to put the panels. I just have one small question, and that is, obviously the panels will be there and they're not the canted, they're the flat ones. There's no other type of equipment going up there with the panels, is there?
No, there is not.
Okay.
And the property itself is 26.5 feet at the bottom of the property above the creek. John is correct, the steps are 8 up. The first floor to the second floor is 11 feet.
Oh,
The second, right, from the second floor up to the third floor is another 11 feet. The ceilings in the house are very high. And
Yeah.
So that is correct. If you would look at the photograph, above the archway of the front porch is a room that at one point was a sleeping porch. And I presume the original owners, we are only the fifth owner of the house. The original owners converted that to a bedroom, and it has a flat roof. And it's on that flat roof that we
Right.
propose to put some of the panels. I believe 8 of the panels go on that part of the roof. It is not visible from anywhere. At one point, we needed to look at the roof because of a slight leak, and we had to get a drone to go up
Yeah.
and do that. Although the installers, the company we're using, they climbed on the roofs, and they were on all of the roof portions in doing their engineering report, and the engineering report is attached to our application.
Right.
Great.
Okay. Thank you.
And my clarifying question was that on that flat roof, the panels are flat, they're flush, they're not on any kind of an angled.
Yeah.
No, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they
they're
have
flush,
to be,
they're flush
right,
with
they
the roof.
have to be flushed because there is no real elevation within the roof. You know,
Mhm.
around the roof, there's no surround around the roof.
Right.
It drains right into the gutters from
Okay.
there. So
Right.
it goes
So
right
that-
off and into the gutters. So
That
it's
further
totally flat.
and further limits. The other interesting thing, and we are going to be seeing more solar panels, which is a great thing in the historic district, and so it's important that we have these conversations among the commissioners. It is visible down the driveway from one of your neighbors from the backside. That's a fact. When I looked at that, and this is for our own discussion, views into the historic district are important. I came to the conclusion that that fits in with existing skylights, and actually there are skylights on the roof already. So it's not as if this roofscape looks pristine
Right.
already, or 19th century. So I came to the conclusion, looking at that, this is addition add features on an existing roof which has skylights. So
Yes. The back of our home faces non-historic. Taney is
Correct.
not historic, and either is Cheston. And actually, if you look at the line of historic, it does not include our entire house. The line actually stops at the back of the house and does not include where many of the panels are going, which is the family room, which used to be the school room. This was a schoolhouse
neat.
from 1929 to 1969.
So cool.
Yes. So
Yeah, but the views into the historic district from outside are still protected.
yes, they are.
That's what just as the views from the water are protected. So that I just wanted to make that observation, and so I'm satisfied that the view from the main facade on Southgate won't be visible. So okay. Any other comments from commissioners? Deliberations? Kevin, thoughts? Leslie? Just a thumbs up is fine.
Yeah, I liked your comment about the skylights, how that's relevant since we don't have a specific solar panel guideline, but this fits the intent of the skylight regulation.
Yeah. Leslie, any thoughts?
I thought that it was tastefully done. I couldn't see anything from the plans and the elevations that I was looking at. There was a lot of them. I was, surprised at how many there are and how economical it was. But I think that if John had gone by and taken a look, and there was no way that he could see them from the street, that it was probably okay.
Let me comment about that. That on the flat roof space, the panels as installed on their frames are only 3 inches above the roof. And because of the size of the flat roof, they will be placing them at the back of the roof. so that they won't be visible in any fashion from the street. They'll be at least, I think, 8 or 10 inches from the front of that roof before you get to the solar panels, adding further to the fact that they cannot be seen.
Perfect. Thank you. Kim Finch, thoughts?
Basically, my thought is that I think we've gotten good advice from John and others, and we know that these can be reversible. And so we want to encourage solar panels where they're appropriate and consistent with the guidelines. And I think I have to agree that these are consistent with their guidelines and they'll fulfill that expectation.
We do have lots of neighbors who have asked us, they're very interested in what happens because they're interested in putting in solar panels. So you could be in for a deluge.
Could I say something?
Yeah.
You
No,
might want to
no,
start a
John.
consulting business because your application was really very good and that
Well,
made it easier.
Did a
And your
good job.
enthusiasm is wonderful also, but not everybody can put together a thorough application. So,
And
please
hopefully you're
don't
working with a
wait.
contractor who understands what we're doing.
Yes,
Well, I will tell you that
they did a great job.
yeah, solar, the company we're using that has applied and has done the work, Solar Energies, they helped me. They were
Great.
very helpful and they did a very nice job.
Super.
This is, I think, their first application in historic Annapolis. They do many in DC, in historic areas in DC, but this is their first in historic Annapolis, and they were very helpful.
Cool. Okay. Will Scott, any comment?
I think it's all been covered, but hearing what the applicant just said and what John had said earlier, I would hope that they would spread the name of their consultants.
we will.
Because
We
that's
will.
exactly the kind of cooperative spirit and knowledge that we hope for and don't always receive.
Yeah, there you go.
Right.
Bill William, any more to add?
Nothing to add. I would like to say though, that during the installation, please confirm with your installer that any connections, wire, cable, whatever's coming down is also concealed. Sometimes people forget that.
It will, on the side of the house, it obviously can't be concealed, and it will be coming down on the right side of the house, which is where the electric
Conduit.
You have
and
cable already there.
the
So
cable is already there.
Yeah.
Once they get to the ground, because it is electric, they will be burying it
Yes.
under the front of the house and across. Once they get through the end of the house, they also have to bury it out to the top of the driveway where we will have the EV put in. So that also will be buried in our side yard up until they get to the brick wall at the top of our driveway.
So in effect, it's going to be masked by the existing electrical cable. So yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ganged with it.
Yeah,
You
and that side
brought
of the
up-
house, we have our heat pumps,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
And-
All that ugly stuff that
Yeah.
doesn't belong.
All that 21st century stuff.
Right.
The EV, we didn't talk about the EV station. That's part of this application. It is, you have a pretty deep driveway and it's obviously not large. It seems to be rather small too. That's going to become a common feature too. And there are we have guidelines to talk about utilities in general and concealing them. So this one is another part of this application is also, we're going to see that more in the future too, especially when we get in the downtown area where we don't want to see the large utility meters basically on the primary facades. Not an issue here. But I'm glad we had this discussion because it'll give other people an understanding of where we're coming from and how we consistently apply our guidelines. All right, then if there are no other comments, I will accept the motion.
I move that we accept the application for 17 Southgate Avenue because it is consistent with guidelines A3, D9, and the Secretary of the Interior Standards, number 10.
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All opposed? All abstain? Okay, that passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And feel free to remove that big old sign from the front of your property.
I gather I have 7 days to remove it, but it
or
will be-
else.
But that is what created a few neighbors expressing an
Interesting.
interest.
No, that's the point. And yeah, we look forward to it. And I would ask you to tell every neighbor that every application is unique and has its own review.
We understand, but we appreciate the approval and we encourage you. We're doing this obviously to lower our carbon footprint the best we can.
Yeah.
In an old house that, like John's, has no insulation. And so we appreciate that and appreciate the thought that these are of help to the community.
Yeah. We hope in the near future to revise our guidelines to actually address this specifically. So maybe we'll chat with you a little bit about the process.
Good. Be glad to talk to you about that as you go forward.
Okay.
Thank you all very much, and thank you for volunteering on this commission. We appreciate that.
Okay.
As a volunteer myself, I know.
Yeah, there you go. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. Next on the agenda is 61 Franklin Street. Madeline, has anyone joined the meeting?
No, they have not.
Okay. The situation with 61 Franklin Street is the garage that we know we've seen multiple pre-applications. An additional, John's staff report was pretty clear that there were still some design features that needed to be changed in order to get his recommendation for approval. Some of the points from our most recent pre-application of 28 October had not been addressed in the application yet. And John had pointed that out in his staff report. He had a discussion today with Maria and Doug from Purple Cherry, and they agreed that we would continue this application to give them an opportunity to make some what are considered major design changes. So I am taking the position that we'll continue this application. According to rules of procedure, we don't actually have to vote on that. I would like your concurrence, but given the fact that they need to make major design changes, primarily having to do with the cornice, the height of the cornice, and the overall height of the building, which still need to come down to make it in scale with its adjacent streetscape and adjacent neighborhood. So I'm proposed. So from the minutes point of view, this application will be continued to a future meeting when the applicant is ready to present those revised application.
Does the applicant have to waive anything in terms of the 45 days?
No, they don't. Interestingly enough, this has come up over the years, and a year ago, we did a deep dive on this. By our taking action tonight and continuing it, we satisfy the 45-day rule. We have acted. If we do nothing on it, if we didn't hear it, but we've acted on it, so it's satisfied the 45-day rule.
Good.
All right, there's any discussion on that? Everyone concur? All right,
Agreed.
good. All right. Excuse me, not COVID. That wasn't a COVID cough. All right, next on the agenda is any other or other business, which administrative business, which is the review of our draft furniture and fixture guidelines. So this is a open-ended discussion, but I'll lead it off by saying, according to our discussions in December, the idea here was I drafted what we did in December. You provided me comments. I believe I got most of them. I would like to take comments from you all tonight to revise them. If it needs a major reworking, that's fine. If they're only minor comments, I can take those notes and we can actually vote on these tonight if they're only minor comments. That enables us actually to start, according to the procedure, the city procedure enables us to start a 30-day public comment period. So if we agree on these tonight, we can start, we can post it on the city website and then start the whole public comment point of view via the web, since we won't be having easy to have public meetings. And I hope we get comments on these. That being said, hopefully you all, I tried to put it in a form that's approvable, meaning it's concise. I will eliminate my strike throughs and my italics to make it clean, and I'll include your comments after the fact. But if we can improve where we're going tonight, I can make that change, send it out to you, and we can move forward. So what comments do I hear? Yeah, Bobby.
A couple things. Under number 3, overhead shading devices, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5th bullet down. It says simple in design with fringes, tassels, or similar decorative elements. I think there should be the word "no" in there.
I forgot.
Yeah, I sent that in to you too,
Yeah.
Tim. I don't know if you saw it.
I did. I added that, and I forgot the most important single word, which is no.
Yeah.
That falls under the heading of an easy to fix typo, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Under barriers and railings, 3rd bullet down, it says maximum height of 3 feet and is not affixed a building. I believe that should say to a building, and I would recommend that we add or sidewalk or something else so that it's not affixed to the ground either. I can imagine that they would do that, but since we're taking the time to make it really clear, perhaps we want to add that piece to it.
Okay. I'm sorry, which bullet point was I'm on? Number 4, maximum height.
Number 4, 3rd bullet point down, where it starts out maximum height of 3 feet.
And is not affixed to a building or I'm gonna go ahead and create a new bullet then. Just does
How about expressing it as is not permanently affixed?
That period is not.
That works well too. No. Yeah, that's what I was trying to say, was not.
Just leave it so you can't attach it to anything. It's that simple.
Yeah.
I mean, if that makes sense to everybody.
Yep. And that is consistent with what I've been reading in other municipalities. Talk about the concept here is lightweight, movable.
Yes.
Barriers.
Yes.
Well, could I add something here?
Of course.
I am concerned that some barriers may not offer enough protection against drivers who have the intention of doing harm. Well, of course, this has happened. Or let's say there's a driver who makes a mistake coming down, and here's an example, Fleet Street. If we have lightweight movable barriers in place there, that could be a problem, and injury could be the result. So I am suggesting, since we're on this topic, that in some places that are adjacent to traffic flow, that we consider allowing larger, not affixed, but let's say possibly concrete planters. And I'm saying planters as barriers.
I'm not sure.
Sorry.
Well, here's what I'd like to say. We might want to make a distinction between barriers and railings and traffic protection barriers, which are safety barriers. We're talking about 2 different things. Safety barriers.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know?
Now, am I mistaken, or when West Street is shut down, they put in temporary barriers to prevent cars going down that are fairly lightweight, movable?
Yeah, they do. That's just
That's
traffic blocking.
necessary. Right. They block it. They're set, the barriers are designed in such a way that the vehicle hits them, they fall over and actually lift the vehicle, if I remember right. To prevent.
Oh, do we want to see plastic barriers on a semi-permanent basis?
Well, those that are there aren't plastic. They're actually
No, they're these
frame.
metal things that the city moves back and forth.
And that's something that is easily removable. It's not permanently affixed. It allows the road to be opened if necessary when it needs to be.
Yeah, I would like to keep ourselves in our guidelines talking about design and not get into life safety, because but I think it's important to John's point to acknowledge life safety, but I don't want to prescribe what life safety is in our guidelines.
No, I'm not trying to. What I'm saying is there are barriers out there that are not permanently affixed. They're not large, concrete, bulky things that could be used.
Right.
Options.
So, Bill, you and I could talk about that maybe tomorrow, and I could talk with Department of Public Works, because it is important to get the feedback from for that specifically.
I agree with that. I think the Public Works is going to have the street safety guidelines in place. So, you know, that's probably something that is going to be like you know, something that's going to be consolidated together.
Yeah.
That's going to be a case by case thing too, I would assume.
Yeah, it'll be very site specific. Is that what you mean, Leslie?
Yeah, yeah. So when we run up against those things, those might be items that the city has to, you know, comment on before we do.
Well, I believe the safety ordinances will override anything we do.
It's always the case. Yes, that's
so
absolutely
no
true.
matter what we decide, we're going to get stomped on by safety.
For good reason, I guess.
Safely stomped.
So there will be comments from Department of Public Works for traffic barriers, I'm sure.
Yeah. How about
on that.
Yeah. How about this? If I modify under this section, I do have a comment about aesthetics of traffic safety or traffic. How about if I change it to say traffic protection barriers may be placed for public safety? Then I go, they shall be of uniform color, which is not strikingly bright. What we're trying to say is we want to influence it. We also want to say they may be decorated, because this is something I've seen in other places. It's okay. We're not going to say, the HBC is not going to say that you can't decorate something to make it look better. I've seen that in other, what do you all think of that?
Well, we kind of do say you can't decorate things all the time when it comes to historic buildings. You can't.
Correct. I'm really just talking about traffic protection.
I understand, but it's also something that is going to affect the aesthetics of what's around.
Completely.
I'm sorry, I'm being a pain in the butt tonight.
No, not at all. That's the whole point of this discussion.
So,
do you think it's better that we don't open that door and just on a case by case to trust the aesthetic?
Case by case sounds good.
Yeah, I would go case by case.
Okay, then I'll say decorations proposed by establishments will be reviewed on a case by case basis. Everything is a case by case basis, but maybe decorations proposed may be proposed, but I'm struggling with the words to say taste. How do you do it in good taste?
Honestly, Tim, I think your uniform color is really good.
Just leave it
uniform color.
Yeah, I think it is.
Okay.
Safety orange.
Uniform safety orange.
Well, I'm saying no, I think
Fuchsia.
safety.
I vote for fuchsia.
Safety
works too. That works.
That's I use the word they use in other municipalities is strikingly bright. Bright safety orange is strikingly bright. So we would say we would prefer them to be all white. And later, and the Public Works did take this on board, and they reconfigured them so that many of them on Main Street were all white by the end of the whole process. Now they're gone.
Okay.
So I'll say then traffic protection barriers may be placed for public safety where necessary, just generally. They shall be of uniform color, which is not strikingly bright, and we'll leave it up to, I won't say anything about decorations at this point. How's that sound?
Yeah, that works.
Works.
Yeah, decorations does open a can of worms, doesn't it? Okay. Other,
One last one.
of course, thank you, Bobby.
Under number 5, planters, the last paragraph where you struck out plant material must be well maintained. It
Yes.
says all materials shall maintain, all planters shall contain natural plantings. Can we please add the word only after that? I have visions of all kinds of other stuff ending up in those planters, flags, lights,
Only.
signs.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, I think that's a
Only,
good point.
got it. That's a really good point, Bobby.
Yeah.
So, and then one more typo under number 7, heating devices. The second sentence should be the heating, not they eating.
They
It is a cafe.
It is
That's
a
true.
cafe. The eating devices, yes. Okay. All right. Thoughts, other thoughts?
Number 6,
Yep.
lighting, an idea that I heard from a restaurateur. Would it be possible to put lighting in umbrellas?
Earlier, actually, under the umbrella, we talked about this at the prior meeting, and we
Yeah,
kind
we
of
said
said no. I specifically put no pre-installed or integrated lighting in the overhead shading devices.
Okay.
So
I was going to mention lighting again. So, did you decide that it was better, that it was going to be okay to run electricity to those areas?
No.
no,
So we're going to stay away from that. Good.
yeah, I took on board what your comment was last time, Leslie, that basically the current guidelines say we have lighting on the street and from buildings. Lighting should be placed on tabletops. So we are really saying lighting is restricted to tabletops. Any lighting that you do put in, if for dining. Okay, so I'm looking forward to the future city dock. So I said, for outdoor dining placed on the tabletops, lighting in public spaces shall relate to the site in scale and design, period. That goes back to our guidelines in general. And wiring should not be suspended. I put that in there, even though we think that above the public way. And lighting designs, this is a little inconsistent, but in the public, and not in the dining situation, but in the public space, lighting designs related to planters and barriers are preferred. Maybe that doesn't make sense to keep in there. That confuses the dining in the public space thing, since we already said that we are saying tabletop lighting is what we want. So I think I should delete that.
Can we say lighting shall be self-contained? So
Self-contained, okay.
Yeah.
that way, yeah, we're talking battery powered.
That's good. There's
Or candles.
so many LED lighting fixtures today that can be battery powered. I think that's great, Bill. That's a
These little
good way
fairy
to
lights.
clarify it. And on this point, my concern is that we want to create this in a way, and Tim, you've done a tremendous amount of work very effectively, I think, so thank you for that. But I think we're trying to say, we understand that this is part of what a lot of people want and part of supporting the business community, but we want to establish simple, clear, easily understood guidelines so that we don't have to keep going back and fighting over every little thing and every little application. And I think so simple and direct is better than, trying to make it fuzzy around the edges to allow latitude. No, let them come in and see this is what we are going to accept and that we're trying to work with you.
Yeah.
Because there is going to be more debate before this can be
Correct. I expect comment on this particular topic.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tim, on the heating devices, do we need something similar about the self-contained so we don't have giant propane tanks sitting around?
That's a great idea. Continue. I can actually be a little more clear. They shall be consistent with other than and shall be self and any.
Most of the attractive ones are, but
They are.
I think that's a good point though, because there was something I saw the last time I was down there that I think might have been a separate propane tank with some kind of lines running to the, and it was ugly.
Right.
It jumped out.
They had at the market space it makes sense when you're trying to have propane on multiple tables and you just want to fill one tank, but it creates tanks and pipe or hosing that we don't really want out there.
The hosing on the ground is a safety hazard.
It is, I agree.
Yeah, I was
any
meeting
fuel tank, something like any fuel supply tanks.
I'm glad you saw that, Kevin, because I was meeting people to lead a tour and I didn't have time to go and examine it. But that's what it was. I'm sure now that you've mentioned it, that you saw it also.
Yeah, there are so many new devices out there for that have triggered in the last, really before the pandemic, this was started. Fuel tanks shall be contained within the device. How about that?
Well, it could just go back to the word integral with.
Okay, integral with the device. Okay, that's good. Okay. All right. And then at the very end, my concept here is we are basically inserting this into C12 and completely overriding the existing furniture guidelines, which are on pages 70 and 71 in the design guidelines. Okay.
One point. Going back to C12. And it's the sentence, they should be simple in character, constructed of wood and painted metal. I would think that we could approve stainless steel or copper left to weather also.
Just metal?
Yes. Painted metal or a weatherproof metal.
Okay, and that's a general overall, that's overarching to everything. So this has to do with chairs, tables, barriers, etc. So that's why it's at the heading.
Well, it's, we see a lot of them already.
Sure.
Unpainted metal furniture, and it tends to look fine for quite some time.
Well, maybe we could add well-maintained. And
it's subjective.
Yeah.
Yeah, some of the designs now that oh look, it's distressed, right?
Yeah.
It's a
You don't want to make
some of our business people.
How funky.
Some of our business people have a completely different idea of well-maintained than I do.
Yeah. I think under furniture and tables, the second bullet says designed out for outdoor use, durable and properly maintained. So at least furniture and tables, I did address it. I didn't necessarily put it in barriers. But I did say that outdoor shading devices should be designed for outdoor use. And I will add to that properly maintained. Because you can just imagine shredded. Well, I can't imagine that. But if you're proud of your establishment, you're going to maintain your umbrellas.
So it should be in the requirements then, because we have some people who apparently put things up they don't care about once they're out.
Yeah.
Default
Yeah.
over, yeah.
That's a whole aesthetic at certain bars.
I'm sorry, Leslie?
You know, like, you know, say, you know, Acme or,
You
you
mean like
know,
the picnic tables sitting out front?
yeah.
I was shocked nobody was dining outside today when I was on Main Street.
It was 27 degrees. It was practically springtime.
It was sunny.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but I've seen people on days like this in Europe.
Oh, yeah.
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 But we're not
They have their
Europe.
scarves on and, you know,
Yeah. Their hot chocolate out there. Yeah.
yeah.
But we're Annapolis. I'll tell you what I'll do. The properly
we are.
maintained, I will put the properly maintained statement up in the introduction, so I don't have to put it on every single thing later.
I like that.
Yeah.
General note, all devices, features, and accoutrements
Everything.
will be maintained
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
according to John Tower.
Oh,
And put his cell phone number in there too with it.
you know, one of the violators got my personal cell phone. I had to put a block on that.
Oh my.
Goodness.
Okay. So I put the that up in the top. So I was starting to add it to the umbrellas and then probably.
Yeah, just
So
over, it applies to everything. So you're,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tim, as with regard to properly maintained, do we have a definition for properly maintained or appropriately maintained?
Ooh.
Well, in both cases, you'll need a definition.
Yeah.
I mean, properly sort of sounds very rule oriented, and appropriately tends to sound like a more common definition.
Yeah.
Well, it's restaurant furniture. It should be neat and sanitary.
There you go.
Yeah, as Leslie pointed out.
Will did a dive on that one.
John, if you want to enforce that, I'll support it.
Well, I mean, I think appropriately over properly, because properly
Yeah,
just
that's
sounds
better.
a little judgmental.
Yeah, it does. It sounds more subjective than appropriately.
How about maintain in a manner that is consistent with?
How about we ask the Office of Law on this?
There you go.
Oh, no, really.
That'd be good.
People that struggled with this, and
Smith. Yeah.
and it's the Office of Law that wants this kind of clarity and enforceability.
Anytime you
How do we do this without getting it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
Enforceable.
asking them is good, because I think there's a redefinition of terms, and properly is pretty much determined to be judgmental on the whole thing. Yeah,
I am judging. I am judging on everything.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
like, what is your definition of properly? Yeah.
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 But Bill, how do you feel about appropriately?
I am willing to go with what everyone wants to go with. I just want things to be neat, clean,
Consistent.
Right.
Doesn't look like the aftermath of a very bad carnival.
Okay.
Orderly and
Well-
appropriate. How about orderly and appropriate manner? Shall be maintained in an orderly and appropriate manner.
Whenever we come to something like this, I think of one of the business owners who has had ongoing problems for 30 years with their trash. And, you know, our code is really pretty clear, at least the planning and zoning part of the code. And this business owner constantly does not comply and then maintains that they are complying.
Yeah.
So the Office of Law in Annapolis has a lot of experience on this point, and I would want their input, whatever
Okay,
term we adopt tonight.
Okay. And we have 30 days for getting their input. So that on that specific point, I'll reach out to, or I'll follow up with Joelle and Cheryl. Okay. All right. Another point that I thought I didn't pick up, but I wanted to, was in furniture and fixtures, and this was in another municipalities and after hours. I think I'd like to, with furniture, I'd like to add a comment that after hours that they be organized. You know, last night I drove by and there were, you know, the chairs were all just kind of fallen over and bundled. You know, it was early morning. You know, the chairs were still kind of jumbled around. I'd like to say that we intend that they be straightened up, or they be orderly, maintained in an orderly manner after hours. I've seen that in other municipalities that they add that.
Well, you know what? I would like to mention that tomorrow is the first day of the legislative agenda, in case others weren't aware of it. And it's going to be a really busy season, and over 400 bills have already been filed for this session.
Wow.
So it's going to be a wild ride for a variety of reasons, and it's an election year.
Mm-hmm.
So anything we want to bring into the picture at this point might make some sense. Anyway, any orderly, thoughtful procedure we could introduce. Okay, just saying, those of us who are watching the legislative agenda already know that it's going to be a crazy.
Well, is there anything on the at the state level to manage outdoor dining?
I haven't seen that yet. I'm on a listserv about environmental matters, and environmental matters are huge this year.
Of course.
I can tell you that in the outdoor dining work group that I'm in on a weekly basis, there's outdoor dining being considered in many cities.
Yes.
Frederick has written a good code. The difference between Frederick and Annapolis is Frederick allows the restaurants to use park space also.
Public space.
Yes.
Yeah, but they have a huge creekside park space that they've developed using various public resources, and it is wonderful for sure.
It's not parked so much with grass. It is paved, and it's a constructed landscape.
It's all along their creek front, and they did it for a variety of measures. But but we don't have that same opportunity, I don't think.
No.
But we're kind of working on it. If you look at the dock revitalization and design.
We are.
I totally agree. Yeah.
That's certainly part of it.
So, we consider it now and build it in, so we're covered when we get there.
Yeah, that's the concept here, that this lays the groundwork for not just outdoor dining for individual restaurants, but also how we manage or we influence the design of any public outdoor furniture.
Sure.
That was the intent all along. In fact, we have Victor Stanley is the preferred vendor, and that is the vendor for outdoor furniture that's purchased by the city.
Well, then, are we addressing fixed position furniture? Bolted down? Similar like what's outside the market house or something?
Not allowed.
Well, right now we're not allowed.
Benches out there, but don't we have a couple benches?
Hey, can I interrupt real quick?
The benches are city property.
True, but this is intended. Right now, the existing C12 does try to talk about those things: benches, bus shelters, trash receptacles, etc. So, again, I was trying to use one guideline to talk about all outdoor furnitures and fixtures, dining and public spaces.
Tim,
maybe, yeah.
just real quick, is this someone, Kevin H, I'm assuming Kevin Havens just came in the attendee list. Is this a good time to bring him in as a panelist?
He can listen in if he'd like. Is it Kevin's from John? Where's Kevin from?
McGarvey's.
Okay, all right,
I mean,
sure.
Kevin-
He can. He's welcome to listen in. We're not taking comment at this time, but I'll welcome him in.
Okay, I'm gonna bring him in as a panelist.
Tim, to what you were just saying before that question came up,
Mhm.
I thought we were trying to concentrate on what would best serve the immediate needs of the business people that are being affected by COVID and the
Yeah.
ongoing
That's true.
allowance of outdoor use of public spaces. And I liked that because I think even if we try to think what's going to happen to the city dock, remember that that's only a recommended plan, and that's going to change.
Well, yeah.
I hope it won't change too much, but I don't think we should try to make policy or regulation based on something that is in flux until it is finally before us and approved.
Yeah, I hear you. I agree. I think what I can do then is back off a little bit. I didn't do much work on it, but maybe take out the implication that this deals with all public space furnitures and fixtures.
Yeah.
And we have an opportunity later to add that, not being too compulsive about that, but we now have C8, which is available.
Yeah.
It's been superseded. So, okay, I will take out the broader terms that I was using and focus on outdoor dining effectively.
Yeah.
Okay, I can make that change.
And that'll also let us get through this and get something on the books,
Which is our
and
point.
hopefully authorize, passed by the council, and then
You got it.
enforce, and we build on it.
That'll only take a few minor items, and I'll when I finish this draft, there'll only be a few strikeouts left, but I'll strike out those things that I'll just tell you which sections I changed, but it'll only be a few items.
Yeah, Tim, no matter how hard we work this and how thoughtfully we try to think of everything, there's gonna be stuff that we miss in this iteration.
And that's the point of the public.
And that's
comment.
okay. I mean, we can't be held hostage trying to make it perfect and.
No.
But I think we've got a really good iteration as it is now.
Yeah.
I really
I
do.
agree.
It's a living document,
Yeah.
Yes. And I'm really pretty excited about the availability of this new process to make a draft, to do this, have public comment, then put it in place. And by the way, and for Kevin, hi Kevin, we are talking about these proposed guidelines tonight, and we're going to probably move them forward. You'll have 30 days to comment on them and provide comment back, and that'll come through the city website or emails to us. So you know what we're doing, Kevin.
And I'm meeting with Kevin tomorrow morning,
Okay,
so we can start that discussion.
super. Well, as soon as we're done here, I will clean this up, John, so it'll be a usable document for you.
Okay.
And
Well,
if we
can we leave the line under heating devices? They eating devices. They eating.
Didn't Bobby get that?
I'm just.
And of course, we all will have an opportunity to comment too. So then I think it's important that we formalize this. So I'd like to with the modifications, the minor modifications that we've seen to this draft, which I'll reaffirm tomorrow, can I have a vote to approve this version for public comment?
So moved.
Motion or just a vote?
That's a motion. I'm sorry.
So moved.
I move that we approve this draft of the furniture and fixture guidelines for outdoor dining in public spaces as it exists the 11th of January 2022, with some minor edits to be made by Tim tonight.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Abstain? Okay, great. So the next second, I'll clean this up. We'll get it posted on the website for 30 days. At the same time, when we're done that, we do another edit and we send it to the City Rules Committee. And then we prepare a brief report according to the code to city council, and then it goes through 2 legislative meetings. They can put, it's unclear, but basically if they don't comment on it after 2 meetings, it becomes final. So it's in effect, it's an interesting thing. It's in effect during that period, but it comes effectively ratified in the future. It does provide John with a tool,
A hammer.
a tool, a hammer. It'll be useful for the leases, which are required to get permits. And the other thing still out there I took this on, and John and I'll work on it. It does say throughout here that we'll provide John with, we all can provide John with acceptable and non-acceptable examples of furniture, heating devices, umbrellas. So if anybody wants to do a little research and send it to John, we can consolidate it, but approvable or compliant and examples of things that simply are not compliant. And that'll help John and the applicants with specific examples of what we're talking about. So
Okay.
I'd hope to get to that this week, but I didn't. All right. Well, I will clean this up and send it out right back to you in the next hour. And we'll get it put up on the city website as soon as we can. Feel free
Great.
to comment yourself.
Yeah,
All right.
good.
That
Thank
completes.
you.
Thank you.
Tim.
Yeah,
That
good
completes-
work, Tim.
Thank you. This is.
Yeah, great.
You were a master, Tim.
Very, very elegant. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. That completes tonight's agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
Second.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?